for public administration optional paper, how to go about answering the questions, the nature of the questions, those being asked. Uh, uh, okay, Anurag is not able to hear me. Just a moment. Uh, Anurag, I believe there might be some problem with your uh, speaker or computer, because whatever possible from my side, it is okay. Seems to be okay. I hope rest of the students could hear me. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, I was saying that we try to understand today the changing nature of the questions that has been there in public administration, what has been the trend, the nature of the questions, how to go about answering those questions. Moreover, we'll not be discussing public administration as an optional paper from a very novice point of view, because here we'll not be dealing with, I hope I'm not dealing with students who are out to understand public administration as a new optional paper for them as a new optional. So I believe all of you are appearing for the mains this time, and preparing for the main exam. You see, in the very beginning, I would say that stick to the basics while studying for the optional, the literature that you study, textbooks that you study, or for that matter, the way you are trying to go about answering the questions. Stick to the basics. I will elaborate what exactly I mean by when I say stick to the basics. See, if you look into the nature of question paper and the type of marks that is being given in this optional paper in the last couple of years, if I have to be somewhat elaborative on this, it has been one of the finest optional paper for the civil services, possibly has contributed a large number of students into the civil service. If you go into the last 10-15 years at time, but 2013, maybe 2-3 years during that period, maybe most of the students might be aware that there was a bit of trouble with this optional paper. Questions apparently were tough. Students were okay. There are quite a few students. They are saying they can't hear. Soumya, Anurag. Okay, let me try what possible things can be done. Just give me a moment. Soumya, I checked with the things here. I believe things are okay on our side, because rest of the students, if they're able to hear, and Anurag is not able to hear, and you, both of you are having some problem. So it might be from your side. You can actually refresh, go for refreshing your computer once. Okay. Just some students are in waiting room. How to allow them? Just give me a moment. Okay, let's proceed now. So I was saying uh, that during this 2013, 2014, and 2015, we did have some trouble in terms of nature of questions. People found questions to be difficult. Marks were believed to be not up to the mark. But as all of us are aware that from 2016 onwards, the results are very good. Marks are really very much welcoming. Questions are simple. I must emphasize on this, that questions are simple. And if you go into 2017, 2018, and 2019, things are very good, in fact. So all of you, all those who are appearing for the mains exam this time, I would simply suggest, go about this paper in this exam with all confidence, believing that you are having currently the best optional paper that can give you really a good amount of advantage over others in this main exam. I'm not talking about the advantage this optional paper will offer you in general studies or other things. I'm not talking about all those things. I'm simply saying that given the nature of questions that is in the last couple of years, and the type of marks we are getting, I think we're in a much better place to have to go about this exam, have good marks, score really well, and get through the exam. See, a few things in the beginning before you will be, all of you will be welcome to ask some questions or have an interaction. I would actually give you some very basic things about the questions, nature of questions, the trends, and all these things. See, first thing, starting from 2017 more specifically, I'm observing that number of questions are being repeated. First thing. So we are having questions, those have already been asked. Rarely UPSC have this type of format because UPSC is not in a habit of repeating its own questions. So in last couple of years, the questions are being repeated, and there are few questions, those are repeated almost word by word. The lines are the same. And if you take into account questions in terms of the theme, there are a lot of questions carrying the same theme that is being asked. That means if you go into especially 2018 question, I'm not talking about 2019, though there has been repeat questions in 2017, 18, and even in 19. But if you specifically take into account 2018, the number of questions that seems to have been repeated has been, I would say, humongous. Reason being, as I said, the UPSC has not been in habit of repeating in its own questions. But the number of questions it repeated during 2018, it appeared as if the questions has been framed by looking into the previous year questions. So the first thing that I will advise to all of you that go through the previous year questions of 10 to 15 years, go through those questions, practice those questions. If you're not able to write the entire answer, at least write the framework and repeat writing. It's not that once you saw it and just glossed it over and went ahead. You just see the questions, try to write the answers. If you're not having enough time for writing all the 15 question in the last 15 years, just try to write few questions in detail, but rest of the question frame in summary, and go on repeating. Repeatedly go into those questions, because I have a feeling in the last 3 years, if the questions are being repeated, then if you go through the last 10, 15 years question, I believe few questions you might anticipate. And if you're well prepared and you have designed that very nicely, certainly you're going to have a good advantage. This is one thing that I would suggest all of you to do. Second thing, that see, all of us know that coming up of 2014 onwards, 2013 onwards, the number of questions are large. Unlike prior to that, when you have 60 markers, only 2 short marker questions, 3 long questions. So you have to attempt almost like 3 plus 3, 6 plus 3, 9 or 10 maximum number of questions that you have to attempt during that period. So people used to go for selective studies. They used to select the sections. Okay, paper 1, this 8 chapters I will go through. Paper 2, this 10 chapters I will go through, and that's all. They used to prepare a limited number of chapters, prepare it well, and almost all the they used to get almost all the questions. And please, please mute all the speakers.
हाँ टूट गया मेरा तो.
Okay. So that used to be the case. During that period, people used to be selective. As I'm saying, in paper 1, let's say 7 to 8 chapters they used to select. In paper 2, something around 10 chapters they used to select, and that used to be enough. They used to go confidently. They used to score very nice. They used to get selected. But see, coming up 2013 onwards, especially 12, 13 onwards, this no more can be done. The second suggestion I would have for all of you, that don't leave any chapter unattended. If at all you have to be somewhat, you want, okay, there are few choices available, and I can leave a few chapters, then choose only one chapter from paper one and one chapter from paper two. If you want to leave, don't leave more than one chapter from any one paper. And again, which chapter you have to leave, that I will come back to this thing later on. And why I'm saying that you should not be leaving any chapter, you should be attending to all the chapters. And if at all you feel okay, since there are choices, so let me actually leave a chapter, then maximum only one chapter. It's because, see, if you see the number of questions that is being asked, large number of questions, every section, 3 questions, every question, 3 sub questions are there. Choice in short question, you don't have choices, like unlike previous, you have to attempt all the questions in the short questions, and rest of the questions, in every question 3 sub questions are there. And another trend that you can see from 2013 onwards is, see, from a single chapter, a lot of questions are being asked, and it might be random. In 1 year, that it might be X chapter, in another year, it might be Y chapter. So from a single chapter, a lot of questions are being asked. There are few chapters that is completely left untouched, and large number of questions are there. So that makes things quite unpredictable. So that is why you should not leave any chapter. If you're actually looking forward to leaving any chapter, leave only one chapter from paper one and one chapter from paper two, not more than that. If you're doing that, you might be inviting risk. Which chapter you should not be leaving and which chapter you might afford to leave, I'll come back to this later, because if you look into the nature of the questions and trained, you'll find the UPSC have found few chapter to be its own favorite, and you should be sticking to those chapters, not leaving at all those chapters, focusing more on those chapters, and a few other chapters where UPSC has been slightly lenient in giving questions. So there you can take your chances. This is the second thing, that you should not be leaving chapters. You should be reading all the chapters that I would advise. And if you have to go for leaving any chapter, then maximum one from each of the paper. Third thing that I would suggest to all of you, see, this is something that is not at all new. All of you must have heard this, maybe right from your school, but very few of us have implemented this. See, when we write our answer, few things we need to follow. One, see, we are not in a habit anymore, because since the questions that is being asked are short questions, no more long questions are being asked. It is 20 marker, at times even less than 20 marker, 15 markers are there. The long question today, we believe it is 30 marker. And maximum number of words that we can use in such type of questions, maybe in 30 marker, we might go up to, as per the speed of a writing, maybe 250 words or 270 words or something around that, not more than that. And most of the questions are 20 marker or less than 20 marker. So in that, maybe we are investing around 170 words, 175, 180 words, something around that. So in that, we believe that, okay, the moment you get a question, straightway start answering. Okay, fine. We have to straightway start answering. We should not be beating around the bush. But few things, remember, and I believe you must follow, as per my experience with my students and their score, I believe it has worked and it will work. One, while attempting all these questions, as I say, these things we have heard right from the childhood, right from the school, teachers, students, parents already have advised, but hardly we have implemented. See, when we start our answer, we should never start abruptly. When I say we should never start abruptly, Let me give you a very simple example. Through that, maybe we'll be able to understand nicely. Simply, if the question is, what is the significance of Weberian theory of bureaucracy? It's a simple question. What is the significance of Weberian theory of bureaucracy? As I told, any question we are attempting, we should never start abruptly. I have seen students with this very simple, straight question starting with Weberian bureaucracy is characterized with. See, there are two problems. You have started abruptly. Second, this might be a correct statement. Weberian bureaucracy is characterized with A, B, C, D, or Weber is this. See, it might be a correct statement, but it's not a relevant or right statement. And again, when you start answer, it should be a very good feeling. It should be a smooth feeling. Then how to start an answer? Again, right from the initial days, we have heard that we should write an introduction. But again, the problem is when you say we should write an introduction, the question being the 20 marker or 15 marker, the number of words that is available with us being very less, writing an introduction may be blasphemous. Because see, what we understand by introduction is a very nice paragraph. We must understand every answer should have an introduction, but as we understand introduction, it is not so. We should not go by the conventional notion of introduction, writing a very nice paragraph to begin with. No. Whenever you're writing an answer, you should introduce. And what is an introduction? Again, see, there is a contradiction here. Number of words that is to be used is less, 170 words, 150 words. And again, in this 150 words, moment you start, again, within no time, you're reaching 120, 130, 140 words. It's time to actually close your answer. But again, you have to write an introduction. See here, when you say introduction, you need to understand the term introduction. You're introducing your answer to the examiner. So whenever you are seeing a question, attempting to answer a question, you introduce your answer. And when you introduce your answer, two things you do. One, your opening lines should be such. It should convey two things to your examiner. One, what you have understood by the question. Second, by reading those initial one or two lines, your examiner should be able to understand the second thing, that is what all you're going to cover in your answer. These are the two things. So by that, we have addressed to both this problem. One, that we are straightway answering the question. We are straightway addressing to the question without actually pilfering a lot of words or lines. Second, we are not starting abruptly. Like, let me take up the same question. What is the significance of Weberian theory of bureaucracy? So the theme of the question is, what is the significance of Weber and his theory of bureaucracy? So when you start, the initial line should be such that your examiner should be able to understand whether you have understood the question or not understood the question. And second, what all he can expect from your answer. You can simply, maybe, see, there cannot be one best way. Probably a student of public administration, as a student of public administration, we can very well understand that there is no one best way of writing, but one way could be maybe as simple as this. We can simply say, Weber, a synonymous name with the bureaucracy, introduced the concept through its characterization and thereby help build a theory of bureaucracy. This subsequently influenced multiple theorists in the future, either through appreciation, acceptance, or criticism. Maybe through this line, we can simply communicate. I have understood you're asking significance. And the second aspect we can communicate to the examiner, see, maybe when you go through my answer, you'll find that he has given a theory of bureaucracy, and his theory of bureaucracy is not about definition, rather about characterizing the bureaucracy, listing its characters, elaborating the idea of bureaucracy. And third thing, it was so influential that almost the following theorist develop this idea either through acceptance or appreciation or through criticism. So people either appreciated it or negated it, but they could not ignore it. So in the third thing that I'm discussing about how to go about answering the question, in this, the first thing that I told is never start your answer abruptly. Always go for an introduction, but always remember, the introduction is not a conventional way of introducing. Here the introduction is, because we have very less number of words to spare. So here the introduction is, we have to directly answer the question. Always remember, you always directly answer the question. You don't have a lot of word to go about introducing and all these things. Directly answer. But in the initial line, start your answer in a way that you include two things. One, you communicate with the examiner that what you have understood by the question. Second, give a view to the examiner that what all you're going to cover in your answer. Don't write, I cover this. You write the statement in a manner the examiner will very well understand, okay, this is what is this fellow's understanding of the question, and this is possibly the contour of the answer that I would be expecting from this, this fellow. Second thing, see, this goes without saying, when you write, please be slightly careful about your handwriting. It should be legible. And do underline, very less, but do underline, because the examiner are also human being. A lot of question answer script they will be going through, and see, you yourself while reading, not necessarily everything you are able to register in your mind. At times, unknowingly, you might skip things. You might, some important thing you might skip. So that is why whatever word you feel, whatever theme you feel is important, do underline. In the same vein, do underline it. And don't overdo things. Don't actually try to underline more or something. Do underline. So the second thing is, do underline, and do underline important things. Third thing, while writing, I would say, see, content is important. But while I say the content is important, I would not say that you have to be very, very detailed in your answer. Number of words that we are permitted will allow us to write all those things. So your answer should come across as a very lucid presentation of the theme that is being asked. Taking the same example, if the question is, what is the significance of Weberian theory of bureaucracy? See, there is n number of things that I can write on this. Lot of individuals are there, a lot of theorists are there who, in fact, have stated a lot of good things about Weber. A lot of people are there who have written some negative aspects about Weber. See, we can write a lot of things about this particular theme. But the question is not all about writing every detail of the significance of Weber. The question is, what is the significance of Weber? And given the word limit, we have to very nicely present the significance. And in this, maybe 1, 2, or 3 ideas, that is more than sufficient. Maybe 2, 3 good ideas are more than sufficient to actually make your answer a good answer. So don't actually try to put in all the details that you know into the answer, because the number of words that we can spare is less. So moment you have studied well, let's say particularly one topic you have studied very nicely, and accumulated a lot of knowledge. You have a lot of information with you. So we always have a temptation to pour in all those information, make the answer up, because I feel, okay, I know 10 things about this. So why should I lose? This is the exam I have been looking at. This is the exact time for which I have prepared. So I have actually 10 information. So if I have 10 information, I should not let go even one. So this is going to be suicidal. You should actually hesitate to in fact pour in all those information that you have into your answer. Your focus should be the answer, because they want the answer. What is the significance of Weber's theory of bureaucracy? If with the 3 good point you can put across your answer, this is the significance of Weber, that is all the examiner would be requiring. The best thing that you can do is to focus on good argument, less argument, not very superfluous and very, very insignificant argument, good argument, manageable number of argument that would not undermine the lucidity of your answer, presentation of your answer, and simply go about answering. So in this, I would urge that don't bombard your answer with information. Don't bombard your answer with details, because moment you put in a lot of details, a lot of information, always believe the theme is going to be diluted, that it's going to be the cohesiveness is going to be diluted. So if you have a lot of information, it might be dangerous at times, because you'd have a tendency to pour in a lot. So hesitate, depending on the number of words that you have at your disposal, prioritize the argument, and in this less number of argument, if you think this is enough to actually communicate the theme, that is all. Don't hesitate, don't worry. The examiner will be completely happy with that, with a lucid presentation, with a nice presentation, with a complete presentation. They don't want a detailed presentation. It is very well understood. The number of words to be presented are less, so they don't want a detailed presentation, but they want a good and complete presentation. This is a thing that all of you should be keeping in mind. The fourth thing in this, while writing, see, another thing, many of us, again, this being the exam that we have been looking for, preparing so hard, we have a tendency to write in a manner so that we get really good marks. That's a good thing. We should get really good marks. We should get really enviable marks. But in that effort, at times, we tend to write something that we feel it is new. It's something which others are not going to write. See if it is relevant, if it is a genuine argument. It's certainly going to encourage, invite you, it's certainly going to help you. But again, see, I have seen students in that very enthusiasm of writing new things. Many a time they write irrelevant things. Avoid this unless until you're very sure that this is something, an argument or a name or a concept that is fitting into the theme and it is very well going with the theme. Don't ever write this. It's not going to be appreciated. It's not going to be well accepted. But at the same time, I would suggest another thing. Okay, see, when you are writing, write all basic things first, well-known things first. Because when you write well-known things first, you create your credibility. So once you've built your credibility, see, anything you can actually understand for yourself with your friends. If your friend find you more credible, see, a lot of things they're going to accept. Same goes with the examiner. If you write well accepted things that is widely known, well established, if you write those things, first create your credibility in your answer. Once you've created that, if you're writing a new thing, certainly you're going to be liked. Certainly you're going to be liked. So first of all, if you think you have a new thing to write and you want to write that new thing, to first build your credibility. First, to begin with, don't write new things in the beginning. First, write well-established things, arguments that is well known, build your answer, and if you have something new to share, then you share it. And when you share a new thing, don't introduce it abruptly again. Don't throw the word. Don't throw a theory. Don't throw a name. Don't throw a concept. Okay, see, slightly elaborate it. Slightly try to connect to your argument. Then it is going to be very well accepted. And see, even if examiner is not aware of that concept or not heard about that concept, don't worry. Examiner is very well aware that knowledge is vast. Things are very vast. So once you've written things which is well established, then you write a new thing. And when you write a new thing, you're writing that with some sort of a connection and explanation. They're going to be very appreciative, and that might fetch you really good marks. In addition to this very thing, see, many students very often ask about writing examples, case studies. See, you have to be very careful. You have to take note of the question. See, what is the task word? Every question has a task word. Explain, elaborate, discuss, illustrate, elucidate. See, people have this, students, every question has this task word. So you have to be careful about the task word. If simply, let's say, the task word is outline. Outline means you have to give just a broad outline. You have to, if again, state, going back to the same question so that we have a reference. What is the significance of Weberian theory of bureaucracy? In this, you do not write statements, you do not write comments, you do not write, let's say, detailed outline, detailed, let's say, concepts. Simply outline. Outline means a sketch. Weber, who is Weber? What is the theory of Weber? What all he introduced and how it was accepted, how it has been accepted by his contemporaries, or for that matter, let's say, the future theorist. That's all. So in that, you are not expected to write examples. If you're writing examples, it has to fit into that outline. But let's say it simply says illustrate. Illustrate. Illustrate is something you are expected to write things with examples, with case studies. Elucidate. Here, you should go about writing examples or case studies if you have. And you will have some freedom, like let's say, if the question is discuss, examine, because in this type of question, you have to go for pros, cons, okay, in detail, you have to outline. So in that, you are, okay, it's not mandatory to write examples or cases. But again, while you are actually discussing, let's say, arguments, okay, relating to the theme you have been asked, if there is a supportive example or supportive case study, you can always introduce it. But having said this, I would say, again, stick to the basics, because since the number of words are very less, don't overburden the examiner with lots of examples and cases, because that will make the answer lose its cohesiveness. Presentation. Keeping your presentation intact. If you have a space, give an example or case study. And again, don't fake your example. Don't fake your case studies. A lot of students I have seen while going through the answer papers, they do have a habit of faking examples or faking cases. Please don't do it. Your examiner is very intelligent. They have gone through the answer script of thousands of students in university, and your intelligence has been there with a lot of other students. So they've gone through those cases. So don't fake cases, don't fake case studies. So pick up well-known cases. pick up well-known examples. You will have a lot of cases and examples because the subject that you have, you'll find a lot of case studies, lot of examples of significance from Yojana, from Kurukshetra, from normal magazines, newspaper. Pick up well-known cases. Don't pick up lesser known. Don't pick up lesser known case studies. Pick up well-known cases, well-known case studies that will help you. More than faking cases or examples of picking up lesser known cases or examples. And at the same time, when you're writing the cases or examples, when you name the case or refer to the case study, it should not be only a reference. Your answer should be written in a manner that that case study should be explained by your answer. You may not explain the case study because the word limit may not permit, but your answer might be written in a manner that it should be supportive, it should be well elaborated, or a one line, this is the A and such is the case. No, case. So less number of cases you have to introduce, if at all you have to introduce, without diluting the lucidity of your answer, the content and the presentation of your answer. And at the same time, don't fake and pick up well-known cases and well-known case studies. Another thing, that while finishing your answer, always give a closer. What I say as closer is conclusion. Again, it might be very amusing because the answers, the questions being very short, and we need to go for a limited number of words. Conclusion might appear to be somewhat challenging. Maybe we might think, okay, conclusion we should not be writing because it is going to consume words. Yes, you might be right. We should not write conclusion in the conventional form because we don't have words. But you should always go for a closer. Why I'm saying two things. There are two reasons why I would say it is a must. You should write if you're expecting a very good mark. See, the closer to the answer, what we say conclusion, is important for two things. Conclusion can be written by a student who have understood that very theme nicely, because a student who is having a hazy understanding or a inadequate understanding will not be able to write a closer. So if you're writing a closer, it immediately communicates to your examiner, this fellow has a good understanding. Second, since we are writing in a very tensed environment, we have less time, psychological pressure is there. It is very much possible that we are not able to write the answers in the coherent manner. It's possible. We will not be, every answer will not be able to write very coherently. But examiner also understands that. Because a student is writing in a very tensed environment, less time, has to write very fast. But conclusion gives us another opportunity to rearrange our answer. Because that sets the tone at the end of the answer. That gives a clear picture to the examiner. So always write a conclusion, and conclusion should not be an elaborate paragraph, only one or two lines. There's a closing line, and the closing line should carry two things again. One, a synopsis, a summary without repetition, whatever you have written. Second, as we have already, all of you must have heard a lot of time, with a very aspirational or positive note. Even if it is a critic, still give a positive note, a futuristic note, whatever. If you have something good about that theorist, any silver lining. So two things. One, a synopsis without repeating any line, any word, give a summary. Second, a positive note, a futuristic note, complete that. These few things you should follow while writing your answer. Introduce, always introduce, because the moment you introduce, it's a very smooth feeling. And moment you introduce, your examiner gets to know what is your understanding of the question. While writing your body, don't bombard the answer with lots of facts, lots of information. Maintain it to a manageable limit. Prioritize the argument, less number of argument, but a complete answer. That means if it is asking for a significance, the argument 2 or 3 that you have taken, that should completely explain the significance. They don't want a detailed answer, but they want a complete answer. So less number of arguments, but good arguments. At the same time, don't introduce cases or examples unless it is required. Third, unless you have uh, explained it properly to support example or support a case study. Don't write new things unless, again, you have written well-established arguments, created your credibility, established your credibility, and then write that new thing with the right linkage. Complete your answer with a closer. Write the conclusion, but that conclusion should be simple lines where you write a synopsis without repetition, second, with a positive note. These are few things that you have to follow apart from write very legibly, underline wherever it is you feel it is important, because examiners say, being human, they might actually omit. We might have written some important thing, very relevant thing, so examiner might overlook that. So do underline in the same pen, do underline the important thing too, but don't overdo this in a single answer. Maybe 2 underlining, 3 underlining, or 4 underlining, and don't underline the entire line unless it's a very important line. Very, very important line. You want examiner not to miss it at all. So otherwise, only the words you just do go for underlining, so that your examiner does not miss whatever important thing you are writing. So this is relating to the basics about writing your answers. The next thing that I would highlight is, see, we have roughly 12 chapters in paper 1 and 14 chapters in paper 2. As far as the paper 1 is concerned, if you look into the questions, trend of the question that is being asked, see, few chapters repeatedly, they have more importance as compared to the rest of the chapters. Here, in paper 1, I would rather highlight your chapter 1, introduction, chapter 2, that is administrative thinkers, chapter 5, that is accountability and control, chapter 8, development dynamics, chapter 9, personal administration. See, in recent years, especially in last 2 to 3 years, personal administration has become immensely important. Personal administration combined with, in paper 2, civil service, maybe combinedly, we have been witnessing almost in the tune of 80 to 100 marks out of 500. See, these two chapters, personal administration in paper 1 and the civil service in paper 2, that means a simple area. If you study the Indian bureaucracy in all its aspects, recruitment, let's say training, performance appraisal, and all these things very nicely, almost 1/5 of the questions we're getting, almost in the range of 80 to 100 marks we're getting from these 2 chapters, personal administration in paper 1 and the civil service in paper 2. It was a really huge number of questions are being asked. So the paper 1, as I referred, introduction, administrative thinker, accountability and control, development dynamics, personal administration, financial administration, and here we can also add, though but consistently the questions are being asked, comparative public administration. See, these are 7 chapters in paper 1 where bulk of the questions are being asked in recent period. So that means these 7 chapters you study very nicely. Administrative thinkers, introduction, accountability control, development dynamics, comparative public administration, personal administration, and financial administration. These 7 chapters you study very nicely. I'm not saying the rest of the things you should be somewhat, you should not be going easy, because see, every score counts. But bulk of the questions are being asked from the 7. You miss out nothing on these 7. These 7 chapters you study very, very nicely, in very detailed, prepare yourself very nicely. And if you take into account paper 2, in paper 2, 8 chapters, it is getting bulk of the attention by the UPSC. The chapter 2, philosophical and constitutional framework of government, union government, state government and administration. Chapter 8, civil service. This is important. In last 2-3 years, I don't know, there are bulk of the questions are being asked in and around this. So you study the civil service very nicely. In fact, civil service in India, if you study very nicely, because the moment you study civil service in India very nicely, you study its recruitment, you study performance appraisal, you study employee-employer relationship, all these things. So it will cover your personal, and all this bulk of the questions are being asked from these sections. So the chapter 2, chapter 4, union government, chapter 6, state government and administration, the chapter 8, civil service, the chapter 9, financial management, both financial administration and financial management. In the last couple of years, it's getting some good attention. So you should be preparing this nicely. Then you have this administrative reforms independence. This is an area in last couple of years, it is getting good attention. So that also you should be preparing nicely. Then you have law and order. This is an area you should be preparing. And for last one, the significant issues in Indian administration. These are 8 chapters in paper 2. You prepare it very, very nicely. Having said so, I would say rest of the chapters needs to be prepared also very nicely. I'm saying these chapters because in the last couple of years, the bulk of questions that are being asked from this section consistently, it's not that only 1 year or 2 years, consistently from this section, the number of questions are more, the number of marks, maybe if we combine these chapters, 8 chapters from this and 7 chapters from paper 1, almost 70% or more than 70% of the marks is from these sections. So that means predominantly, somewhat disproportionately, these chapters have attracted more attention. But having said so, do study other chapters, because see, every 1 mark will count. Every single mark is going to count. Is only for your preparation, so that you have in mind that these chapters are very, very important. You have to go about this very nicely, write a lot of answers on this, develop your strategy accordingly. But having said so, I would re-emphasize and emphasize again and again that you don't lie low on rest of the questions. Sorry, rest of the chapters. Rest of the chapters you should. And again, coming back to the initial point that I was making in the very beginning of the lecture, that see, don't leave any chapter, because now the number of questions are more, and from single chapter, a lot of questions are being asked. But if you feel that I have to leave some because you have options, and the questions offer you options, then now you can understand that in paper 1 chapter you can leave, paper 2, 1 chapter you can leave. That would be, though that would be some risk, because the short question, question number 1 and question number 5, you don't have options. It's compulsory. But still, if you think, okay, the time is somewhat tight, I have gone through all the chapters, but now I have to leave 1 chapter for my revision or something like that. Now you know which chapter you cannot leave. See, these 7 from paper 1 and this 8 from paper 2, you don't leave at any cost. From rest, you might take your chance of leaving 1 chapter from paper 1 or one chapter from paper 2, though that would always be a risk because question 1 and question 5 do not offer you any choices. So if you're lucky, maybe the chapter that you have left, no question would be there in paper chapter question 1 or question 5. But if you are a bit very unlucky, you might get caught. So these are the chapters you don't leave at any cost. And as far as the preparation goes, the literature goes, I would suggest to all of you that read the conventional text, because the nature of question that is being asked are conventional, simple, not difficult questions. They are not very, what otherwise in our parlance will say that those are somewhat tricky questions. No, in last couple of years, they have been very kind to public administration as an optional paper. They've been asking simple questions, repeating questions. So you should not be leaving the revising of the previous year questions and straight questions. So literature that you have to follow in paper 1, study conventional sources. Conventional sources, your class notes, whatever you have prepared. As far as text goes, Mohit Bhattacharya, New Horizons of Public Administration. Do read it very nicely, repeat it time and again. And any one textbook that you might be following, because you might be in the habit of following one textbook, whether people follow Sarma Sadhana or Fadia in terms of theories, or Paulinaidu, or any text that you have been following. Only one, don't repeat, don't go for all the 3 I will study, all the 4 I will study. Don't know. Read any one of those very nicely. Mohit Bhattacharya, New Horizons of Public Administration. Read it very nicely. Your class notes, read very nicely. A few selected portions of IGNOU, masters. So the masters literature of IGNOU selected. I'm saying because you yourself now, you might be well versed with the syllabus and all these things, so you can very well understand. So you can look into that, you can understand from that. So go through IGNOU literature, and very few selected areas you can on your own, you can understand, you can go through that. And as far as the thinkers and all these thinkers are very important. If you go through that, either Prasad and Prasad, or you have R.K. Arora. Either of this, if you're going through R.K. Arora Administrative Thinkers, stick to it. It's a very good book. If you're going Prasad and Prasad, stick to it. Any one. Good. Don't go for multiple things. These are the very little source you should study. Your class note, your text-wise, maybe Bhattacharya, your one source in thinkers, or let's say if you're going through Fadia or something like that, only one source from that. That's all. Don't actually go beyond this. This itself will be huge in quantum. Limit it. Repeatedly read it, repeatedly write, and repeatedly read it. As far as paper 2 is concerned, see, I have a different view, because I see paper 1 and paper 2 in a different light, because paper 1, it is something closed. That makes it, many feel paper 1 is difficult. I believe paper 1 is easy because it is closed. If you understand its theory nicely, these few chapters, introduction, thinker, development dynamics, comparative, the few chapters, if you understand, because these are the theoretical core. If you understand these few chapters nicely, the rest of the things are very easy. It has, syllabus is small, this thing are small, it is a cakewalk. Paper 1 is closed. Read from these selected sources. That's all you have to do. Then rest, you write a lot. Keep on writing, and keep on writing. Paper 2, I believe it is open. Why I believe it is open? Because see, in paper 2, we don't have a single source that can satisfy our all the requirements. It is both detailed and difficult. So in paper 2, I would suggest apart from the basic understanding that you have in constitution, repeatedly go through the constitution, and in the general studies, whatever you study, repeatedly go through that. But in paper 2, if you want really good marks, because see, when you interact with your seniors, or many of you might be having your own experience, in paper 1, most of the time we are somewhat afraid. And when you go to the exam hall, we are somewhat diffident, and come out of the exam hall many a time not being very so happy. Paper 2, almost everyone is confident. Almost everyone comes out of the hall. I know everything. I wrote everything. But when marks is there, it's entirely reverse. Paper 1, most of the time, 9 out of 10 students get good marks in paper 1, and in paper 2, they suffer. The reason being, in paper 2, almost all of us write the same basic things. Almost everything is known: panchayat, prime minister, president, corruption, right to information, municipality, public sector undertaking. See, nothing in this that is, we don't know, because see, the public administration paper 2 is such that if you even do not study and study your general studies only very nicely, you go and appear in the paper 2, every question you are going to attempt. But if you want to good marks in paper 2, only one additional thing you have to do. And that additional thing is, apart from whatever you are studying, your constitution, your class notes and all this thing, I would always suggest, see, on every topic, your newspaper and magazine, they are going to be the key for scoring in paper 2. You have your own register, Yojana, Kurukshetra, newspaper you are reading, one good magazine, whatever magazine you are studying, whether you are studying governance now, The Economist, Outlook, Frontline, whatever you are studying, only one you study, repeatedly you study. You have your own register for every section, because now you are acquainted with your topics for your district administration, for your, let's say, within district administration, X, Y, Z, or something like that. Whatever good thing you find, because the basic you have already studied from your regular sources, whatever extra thing you find in your newspaper, magazine, write that. For example, I'm giving, recently I was going through a note in the newspaper relating to Uttar Pradesh. And in Uttar Pradesh, the title of the article was Super DMs, Super District Magistrates. It was very amusing to me to see, what is this Super District Magistrate? See, Uttar Pradesh has developed a system whereby the previous government had every district a minister in charge. That means a minister will be supervising the district separately, apart from the district magistrate which is there in the district. So thereby reducing the district magistrate, undermining his authority, and in real sense, the power is actually exercised by the minister in charge. Now, the current Yogi government has replaced that with secretary in charge. That means every district will be supervised, and almost every fortnightly they will be taking stock of the district and the developments by a secretary who is in charge of the district. Now, that means, see, the district magistrate who is actually there, number of things, authority is undermined, because district magistrate is an officer with a less experience, lower rank, and the secretary is a very senior officer with a very high rank. And again, now the secretary is actually officially it is made a supervising officer. So thereby the actual district magistrate functions are restricted. Now the district magistrate becomes very cautious. The initiatives are lost, and for everything getting command from the directly from the highest authority. The government is in control of the district administration. So this is something we got, and that's relevant to us. We can write that in changing profile of district administration. We can write that in the recent era what are the developments relating to district administration, or for that matter, declining status of district administration, or something. We say, moment, this is relevant to us. So that's what you read newspaper, Yojana, Kurukshetra, a good newspaper magazine, and in each section, apart from the regular things that you study, whatever new things you are getting, jot it down. And when you write the answer, introduce those things, but don't abruptly introduce that with the right coherence. Believe me, then you will get good marks. Otherwise, all of us write the same stuff in paper two. That is the reason why, even if we are happy, we get less mark in paper two and we get good marks in paper one, much better marks in paper one, and we suffer in paper two. So this is some very simple advice that is from my side relating to this exam that we're going to have, your main exam that you're going to have. And now I'm actually inviting all of you to ask any questions or doubts you might be having. I'm unmuting. So anyone who is interested to ask any question, most welcome to ask, so that the successive things we can clarify. And again, see, the test series that we're having, it is not a test only. Don't take it as a test. This is more of a preparation. So it is not merely a test. So all of you are also most welcome to give suggestions so that we can improve on that. And anything that any one of you would like to ask, please ask. Yes, yes, you can. Anurag, you can.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about the self-evaluation actually, because in the lockdown I tried to write the previous year questions, and although I was able to write almost able to write a decent answer in all the questions, but I was not able to self-evaluate whether it was good enough or not.
See, two things. Okay, you're through with your question? Shall I answer? Okay, see, Anurag, two things you can do, because see, most of the time, self-evaluation may not be the most correct way of going about it, because we might evaluate ourselves more favorably and more leniently. So two things you can do. One, you can take help of your friends. If you can form a group, a set of good friends, you can share your answers, allow your friends to be very critical. This is one way. Second, if any teacher or elders are there who can help you out, you can do. And whatever answers you have written, few of them you can send me. Don't send all of them. It might be difficult for me to go through. Few of them, randomly you pick up few of those answers, send it to me. And maybe it can be a sample set of answers to have my comments. Okay. You send it to my email address. You have my email?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay.
I have your email.
Okay. Send it to.
Sir, I have one more question. Actually, when in some of the questions, when you have very few points, then it is, and the marks that is associated with it is like 20 marks. So,
okay.
What should we do in those cases?
Okay, I believe you are trying to say in a particular question you have only few points. So
yes.
Those number of points you feel it's inadequate, but still you have to write your answer. Okay.
Yes,
See, it is, I think all of us have this commonplace knowledge. With whatever knowledge we have to present it in the best way. So whatever points you have, prioritize it. Prioritize it and present it in prioritize, the first, second, third. In that you present it, and don't try to repeat your, because the moment you think, okay, I don't have much of the content, I don't have more content, or I don't have more words, don't repeat lines, but don't try to write irrelevant things. Maybe let's say in a 20 marker you are able to have content for 120 words, but you feel कि another 60 word I should be writing, but you don't have content for another 60 words. So there I would say write those 120 words nicely instead of actually introducing some less significant or irrelevant things in another 60 words. Don't worry. Don't worry. If you have content for 120, write 120 words and finish it. Don't actually burden your examiner with another 60 words that is not going to be. Instead, those 60 words might reduce your marks rather than increasing it. But there you might think more in the, because the God has gifted us with a nice mind, so you can think more, so that if some related things you can write, but if you don't find, don't write irrelevant things. Write 120 words and complete it.
Sure.
Anything else? Anyone would like to ask anything else?
Sure.
Hello.
Yes.
So myself, is speaking, sir.
Nishant, you are not audible.
So what I'm saying that we should make a group and compile some case studies which people have collected, so we'll have some better material and
Yes,
examples.
yes. Okay, see, if you want me to do that, or you people will be doing
So
on your own?
we can do it voluntarily, but if you have also some examples like one you have quoted, we can benefit from
Okay,
that.
so I will share few case studies of recent nature. Okay, I will share with you. But again, as far as you people are concerned, it is always better to have voluntary groups, because see, you might be willing to share your case studies, but maybe your friend may not be willing. So from my side, it will be an imposition. I will be collecting few case studies. I will share with all of you. But okay, as far as you people are concerned, okay, you all can actually form groups voluntarily, so can share among yourself. Okay, okay. Here, okay, the name is interesting. iPhone 8 Plus. Please ask.
Hello, sir. Divya Ranjan here. I was
Okay.
in the very recent batch, like before COVID, the batch was
Okay,
there. I
okay,
was
okay.
there.
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
sir, I just cleared prelims, and sir, I want to say that I have not covered the entire topic, like entire portion, but I covered the class note very nicely. Sir,
Okay.
like what should be my next strategy? Like, sir,
As I told Dibya, okay, first of all, class note study repeatedly. Okay,
yes, sir.
I'm confident of whatever stuff that is there. Cover it very nicely, repeatedly.
Yes,
And
sir.
in addition to that, any textbook you have been following?
Yes, sir. I am following R.K. Sapru, Prashad, and Arora and Goyal for paper 2.
Acha, R.K. Sapru. If you are following R.K. Sapru, then leave Prasad and Prasad.
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't because both of them will be overlapping. Okay. R.K. Sapru thinkers, na administrative thoughts.
Yes, sir.
That is what. Okay,
R.K.
so
Sapru
either of
thinkers.
these two.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
so either of these two. Don't actually follow both of them. Follow any one of them. Okay, then you do one thing. In Fadia and Fadia, few
Yes, sir.
portions like personal administration, financial administration. These two
Yes, sir.
portions you add to your whatever you are studying.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and beyond that, don't study anything.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And in paper two, you rely more on newspaper and
Sir,
magazine.
my
Apart from the
question.
basic stuff that you are going through, go through whatever you will be studying for your gen studies and all this thing, the newspaper, magazine, and all this thing. Be attentive to some of the new things.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, can I have your email ID, please?
Right. MOH.
Yes, sir.
Again, MAH.
Yes, sir.
ENDRA
Yes, sir.
at gmail.com. Moh Mahendra, MOHMAHENDRA. Moh Mahendra at gmail.com.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, one of your other friend is trying to ask. Please ask.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I'm Sakshi here, but nowadays
Yes.
I'm writing answers, but I'm not confident enough and I'm not able to write such good answers. So it always used to discourages me, and sometimes I do just get demotivated and I just stop writing answers. So how to keep myself motivated? and how to write such a good
Sachin,
answer. Yes,
but
sir.
why are you getting discouraged?
Because I'm not writing good answers, so I'm just discourages me.
See, okay. The, uh, you have been preparing for this exam for how many
From
years?
last 1 year.
1 year, no?
Yeah.
See, writing answer is a very difficult task. Let me admit it.
Yes, sir.
Even today, when I pick up questions and try to frame answer, I find also difficulty. So it's not nothing new with you. Here,
Yes,
I
sir.
would say that how many answers you have written till now?
Till now,
How many
at
answers you
least
have written?
30 approx 30, like in paper 1 and paper 2 together.
Achha, 30 answers you have already
Yeah.
written.
Yeah.
Then 30 answers are not, it's not very huge bulk. You should write more. Do one
Yes,
thing.
sir.
Few of them, please send it to me. Let
Okay,
me go
sir.
through this. Let me go
Okay,
through
sir.
this. And again, don't get discouraged. Two things will hone up your writing skill. Two
Yes,
things.
sir.
One, repetition. Keep writing.
Okay, sir.
Okay? Keep writing. Second, your clarity. As and when you'll grow on your clarity, you'll have more clarity, your presentation automatically will change. So you work on your clarity. That means the stuff that you're studying, your material that you're studying, read it repeatedly. Wherever you find difficulty, read it repeatedly. Second, repeatedly write. And again, when I say writing, doesn't mean you have to write answers. Simply see, while you are studying, one concept you studied.
Yes, sir.
Let's say you studied bureaupathology. You understood that concept. Immediately, you write a paragraph on bureaupathology.
Okay, sir.
Moment you studied, let's say, postmodernism, that concept, moment you understood, write a small essay on postmodernism. So not necessarily you have to write only the question and its answers. While you are studying, keep writing. If you're studying for 4 hours
Yes,
and
sir.
found, let's say, you went through 6-7 concepts, on those concepts you write 6-7 paragraphs, separate paragraphs.
Okay, sir.
Believe me, it is going to improve your writing very soon. So don't have this habit to only questions I have to write answers. And second, don't get disheartened. Don't get
Yes, sir.
disheartened.
Yes, sir.
It's a process. Gradually you're going to improve. And few of your answers, please send me.
Yes, sir. Surely.
Okay,
Okay,
Sachin?
sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Most welcome.
So,
Anyone else would like to ask something?
myself, Manjunath is speaking.
Okay.
Sir, I have taken coaching in 2019, last year.
Okay.
Then in 2021 is going to my first attempt.
Okay.
I've started practicing the answers. Like my answer, like I have relied on your notes, class notes only.
Okay.
Sir, when I interlink civil service or personal administration with Weber, it is sometimes it goes around like if it is if it is 20 marks, then the word limits will be 180. I will write nicely structured answer if I get finished within 210 words. Can I extend little bit 10 words like this in the examination?
Okay. See, all of you, please note this. When you read your question, and again, you should be very careful in writing the gadget, the UPSC notification. UPSC notification clearly writes the quality of the answer is going to be evaluated preferably than the quantity. That means you'll get good marks on quality of your answer. Second thing, when you read your question, you'll find in many of those questions, it's written not more than this number of words. So in any question, there's a specific instruction, not more than. You please stick to it. Don't go beyond it. But in most of the question, there is no such instruction. If there is no such instruction, not more than this, then it is up to you how much to write. But you need to understand you have to write other answers also. So it all depends on your speed and the time available. If you can write faster, your nice handwriting, without diluting your handwriting, your presentation, if you can write faster, then you have a leeway of writing another 10 to 15 words more. If you are not able to write fast, then don't write more number of words, write less number of words, focus on quality of answer. Because see, in a single answer, if you're writing 10 words, 15 words extra, you just imagine how much time you're going to take for 17, 18 answers you have to write. So maybe one or two answers you're going to completely compromise. So you can write 210 words, provided one, there is no instruction, specific instruction, don't write more than 200 words. Second, you can write 210 words, provided you are not compromising with your quality of answer in other answers. Because the moment the time constraint is going to be there, is going to grip you, see, you are going to compromise on the quality of answer. So that's why you are free to write 210 words, provided these things are intact. So you just find out what is your speed in, let's say, 10 minutes, how many words you can write, and accordingly you decide. Okay.
Sir, one other thing, one doubt. Sir, in one topic, imagine if it is administration is an art and science, I'm starting interlink the film stories and all. Can I interlink that like 3 to 4, 5 words and all like that?
Okay, see, if the question is, administration is both art and science, and you want to introduce a film story and interlink with your answer. As I've already told, okay, first of all, whenever you are writing your answer, first of all, write well-established arguments. Administration is both an art. Who all has told it art? Why it is told it is an art? Because administration, it is getting things done. Administration deals with people, their problem, and people, it deals with people who are numerous in lakhs and crores. So the problems are very complex, whether it's education, whether it's health, or whether it is, let's say, drainage, electricity. So it is not being dealt with 4 people, 5 people. It's dealt at a very higher level. So it is very complex. So thereby it is an art. Why? Because it's a skill to deal with those things. It is a science. Why it is a science? Who all has told it is a science, and why it is argued that a science? It's a systematic study. It's a systematized study. It is a systematized studies to explore the principles of getting things done. You introduce all those well-established argument first. So don't come out with the film story to begin with and then link, because see, number of words are less. So first of all, you write well-established arguments, things that is well known. As I told, build your credibility before the examiner. Then if you find, okay, this story in the film can be very well linked to this answer, then bring in that story and link it. Okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir, Gautami here, sir.
Gautami.
Sir,
Yes.
Paper 2 answer. How do we distinguish with GS2, sir? Because there also we are going to write examples also. Should we necessarily write the theorist name and all? Should we link with theorist?
Okay, see, it is good when we interlink paper 1 with paper 2. But having said so, I would also say that not necessarily always and in every question we'll be able to do that. So every topic in paper 2, whatever topic we have, every topic has its own literature. If you're talking about Panchayat, Panchayat has its own facts, own arguments. Write those arguments, and that itself will fetch us very good marks. But at the same time, see, if you're talking about, let's say, I was just referring to your district administration. And in district administration, we just refer to something called super district magistrate, the UP government is having some arrangement, secretary in charge, super DMs and all these things. And you referred and connected with, let's say, the concepts of centralization. Or let's say here you brought in, let's say, but once you have actually very nicely analyzed the question, okay, how if the question is asking that in district, what are the challenges? And one of the challenge you write, increasing centralization and thereby undermining the authority of district magistrate. This is one big challenge. And when you write this, let's say you refer to Foley, Mary Parker Foley, okay, she has emphasized on that we, not I. At the same time, she has emphasized on the very decentralization. So while you're writing, let's say the district administration, the difficulty, how district administration is a very, very important unit of administration. And it is the headquarter of the field administration, and it is a theater of activity. All the developmental, non-developmental activities are undertaken at the district level. And in this particular context, it needs real authority. So the man at the man in charge, the woman in charge, the individual in charge of the office should feel the authority, because authorities should lie in the job, what the Foley says. So the job has a lot of responsibility, but if it doesn't have authority, then the responsibility is not carried out nicely. So if you explain that thing, then you bring in Mary Parker Foley, as Foley has referred, that authority lies in the job and stays in the job, then it's fine. But having said so, see, not necessarily in every context you will be able to do that. The first thing that you should be focusing is, you just focus on the existing literature. Whatever literature that is available with you in each of this topic in paper 2. Whatever you have collected, whatever you have studied, believe me, even if you're not linking, if you're able to link it nicely, not only introducing paper 1 thinks you're going to fetch you marks. No, it might actually reduce your marks if it is not nicely linked. If you're able to nicely link, yes, it's going to give a good feeling to your examiner. It's going to give you some additional marks, certainly, no doubt about that. But if you do not link, believe me, if you have introduced the topic nicely, written basic facts and arguments, and in addition to that, if at all you have collected something new and written it, believe me, you will get really good marks. Don't worry, you're not going to lose marks if you're not introduced paper 1 things. But if you're able to link, like I told, if you're able to link it, it gives a good feeling to the examiner. Okay, this fellow has good understanding. So that gives a good feeling. But again, don't try to link it in every topic that you pick up, every answer that you write. In fact, you focus more on the existing arguments, whatever arguments you have collected, whatever information that you have collected. Okay?
Hi, sir.
Okay.
It's
Yes. Yes, Narendra.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I have some few questions and few feedback regarding test series. First of, sir, during COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that the role of district administration has become very crucial, and
yes,
all the responsibility of handling the pandemic has come on the shoulder of civil servant. So how can we, if a question comes from these portions of district administration civil services, how can we improve our materials and various case study? What are the sources of various case study, so we can use them on writing answers if questions come regarding handling the pandemic or related to something like that? Please,
okay. Yes, Narendra. First of all, district administration is a key unit of administration at the field. As already we have understood through our regular studies, whatever thing that we have already gone through in the conventional textbook or otherwise, that a diversity of activities are carried out by whom? District administration. At the same time, say during the pandemic, it is a very exceptional situation. Who is the head of the disaster management authority at the district? The district officer. The pandemic or any of these type of activities have to be tackled by whom? The district administration. And during this period, what becomes very important? Law and order, developmental activities, because people need, let's say, food or with the electricity or something like that, few of these activities. See, all this thing comes to the responsibility of the district administration for a number of some direct responsibilities. Also, at the same time, the responsibility of coordinating, this becomes extremely important. So from the conventional wisdom that we have already gathered through our studies, we can write the big portion of this answer, the significance of district administration during pandemic, emphasizing more and more on disaster management. Second, on the officer as the coordinating authority, because a lot of agencies needs to be coordinated, a lot of activities needs to be coordinated. What else you can add here? Because during this period, there has been a lot of stories, lot of cases of successful handling by district officer, maybe a female officer who was the first rank of your civil service, Rajasthan. She handled so nicely, that all of you studied. Or there are a number of other cases as well. Collect those. And while you're writing, let's say you're writing coordination, one case you attach there. While you're writing how during disaster management, the district officer becomes the very key authority. How that lady officer implemented those things, how she isolated, how very strictly things were implemented. So that case study you can attach at that stage. So see, first of all, you focus on your traditional things that you have been studying. Study that in detail, because that will give you bulk of your answer. The rest, whatever you are studying, because now for the mains as such, you will be studying your this current affairs and all this thing. From there itself, you'll get a lot of stuff. So have a separate register. In every section, you have those cases or arguments, and you'll find plenty. Okay. Okay, here the name is not there, 2C02A. So please, you're raising hand, so you can ask.
Yes, sir. Naren, sir, I have also
Naren.
some feedback regarding test series. Since this is going to be online test series, because we cannot write the answers on the test center, and I want that for test discussion, will all the discussion will be on Zoom?
So till the government permits, we have to be taking the discussion on Zoom. We cannot go to the center now. We cannot get ourselves arrested.
So, sir, please provide the recorded video of the test discussion.
Yes, that will be available. So don't worry about that. That will be available. But I would suggest you stay live, so that many things that you would like to ask, you can ask.
Yes.
Because
yes.
the moment you rely on the recorded, the seriousness goes. Once you will hear half an hour, then you'll leave next half an hour. Ultimately, pata chala ki one discussion you have lost.
Yes.
So always is good to actually have live interaction.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. So all of you, thank you for attending the interaction. All the best to all of you for this main exam. Write very nicely, have plenty of marks, get through the exam, but before that, prepare very well. And as I told, focus on basics. Say in that very urgency of getting good marks, we forget the basics. Write simple answers, good language, coherence has to be there. See, limited argument, but good argument. Present it nicely, you'll get good marks. Don't focus on having lot of information. You don't have this very tendency that I have to have lot of information to get good marks. No. Maybe for your prelims, you need to be more detailed, because you have to, it's a very big competition and factual things matter, is objective type question. But as far as this mains is concerned, you need not be very detailed. You need to be good in presentation. You need to be complete, not detailed. Always remember, your answer need to be complete, not detailed. So that is why write simple answers with good arguments. Don't have this tendency of writing all the arguments or all the information and all these things. Don't bombard your examiner with lots of information. So, and at the same time, I would say that any type of difficulty you have, as the email address I gave, please write to me. I will try to respond as early as possible. Okay. Thank you so much. All the best. Write as much as you can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Anyone having any question? Somebody is trying to.
No, sir. I just wanted to ask about the paper 2. Actually, we had a discussion like 9 months back. So I had bought Hoshiar Singh for paper 2, and
Okay.
my the edition is the older one. So
don't worry, go through that. If the latest edition had been there, it would have been better. See, actually, what
but
happened?
Sir, the problem is that is the post second ARC recommendations are not there, and the latest updation
that I
is
found.
actually missing in that book. So that's what I
actually,
wanted.
the latest one, what they bought, probably it did not sell, so it is not available. Because that's what I'm finding. So the older one that you have, go through that. It will help. And but again, at the same time, all of you, second ARC, Punchi Commission recommendation, and 7th Pay Commission recommendation. The summary of these things, please go through very nicely. Second ARC, Punchi Commission, 7th Pay Commission. And that's the summary, only summary. Go through nicely. Okay? The summary itself is there in the official report. Official report at the end, the summary is appended. So only summary, read summary. Okay?
Also, a few topics you have listed in a separate textbook that you had given it to us. So those topics are not covered in the Mohit Bhattacharya or Hoshiar Singh. So will that note be sufficient for our examinations? The newly added topics. I'm talking about the thing.
No, actually, see,
textbook that you had given.
I know a separate booklet that reads newly added. Don't treat it as newly added. Actually, that was not changed in 2007. A syllabus was changed. So the new topic, those were added in 2007. A new booklet was made, and that's a mistake of the very minuscule bureaucracy in the office that has not changed it. So don't treat it as actually the newly added topics, but go through those topics.
The discussions will be on similar format like we are discussing right now. The test 3 discussions.
And test, yes. I'll be explaining the questions, and you people will be free to ask questions. Okay? Because see, unless until government permits, we cannot actually go to the center. Na? That's not possible. So we'll have the discussion on this platform itself.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.